Hello everyone, and welcome to TEDxYouth at ACSofia 2025. Now it's time to dive deep into the first part of our event, the alchemy within. Our first speaker is someone who believes independence isn't defined by age. It's something we develop in ourselves when faced with challenges that require personal growth. Please welcome Ivanova with her talk, Navigating Independence.
What does it really mean to be responsible? Is it a trait that we suddenly acquire the moment we turn 18? Or is it something that we begin to shape much earlier in life? For a really long time, I believed that real responsibility was something I would only understand once I reached adulthood. But over time, I made myself a promise to see that responsibility isn't tied to a specific age. It's defined by the decisions we make and the way we choose to act. Hi, my name is Eva, and today I want to challenge a common assumption that teenagers aren't capable of being responsible or independent. I believe that's simply not true. In fact, learning to take responsibility for myself has been one of the most meaningful experiences in my life so far. It has taught me lessons that no birthday ever could. Lessons about integrity, responsibility, and how to take ownership of our choices. We often hear, "You're just a kid. You'll understand when you get older." In scientific language, actually, a research corporation called Regain US states that humans usually develop fully and mature fully around the age of 25. In my opinion, teens are responsible in ways that matter way before they reach adulthood. Maturity is all about responsibility, adaptability, and choices. There are teenagers who work part-time jobs while taking care of younger siblings or family members. Others do a lot of work outside of school just to be financially independent and make it easy on their parents. All of these examples are all forms of taking accountability of your life. Now, let me share a more personal and perhaps slightly unconventional example. I am a teenager, not originally from Sofia, but from a smaller city called Blagoevgrad. After 7th grade, I moved to the capital with my family, seeking better educational opportunities and just a fresh start. But not long after we settled in, my parents had the opportunity to go live in Spain, and I had to stay behind. Now, for the past 2 years, I've been mostly living on my own. Don't get me wrong, I have an amazing relationship with my parents. We are a close-knit, very supportive family, and although now that we are separated by distance, our bond remains strong. But our life took different turns, and we really learned a lot about each other. Separation became a new part of our reality. That is because responsibility and adaptability isn't defined by age, but by personal maturity, growth, and commitment to learning from your mistakes. At first, I thought I had everything I ever dreamed of. No one tells me when to go to bed, no one tells me what to eat, or how to spend my time. I procrastinated constantly, put everything off for later, and convinced myself that it was fine. I mean, after all, wasn't this what independence was supposed to feel like? But very quickly, reality caught up with me. And that so-called freedom turned into something much more demanding than I expected. Even the smallest responsibilities without structure started piling up. I didn't have clean dishes for days on end, so I learned to stay on top of the dishwasher. I couldn't rely on takeaway or noodles every single night, so I taught myself how to cook. And let me tell you, if you ever find yourself in a situation when you're craving some fresh macaroons, I'm your person. And how about the fresh homemade bread with the satisfying crunch? I got you covered. But now, what started as a chaotic adjustment slowly became a crash course in self-discipline. I really learned a lot about myself during this time. And especially those challenges taught me more about real responsibility than any rule or adult expectation ever could. With my progress and all these culinary experiments taking place, my apartment started looking very dirty within the first month. I took measures. I slowly incorporated cleaning and chores on Sundays. Do you see a pattern? At first, I tried doing nothing, but what was absolutely necessary for my survival, basically the bare minimum. And then I started learning. And then, as Bulgarians love to say, povik ne volat. In other words, when I saw that nobody was going to do the work for me, I started learning. And because I knew that I only had myself in those tiny moments, I wasn't afraid to make mistakes. I would be the one accepting the consequences. No one would be there to judge me. The biggest judge actually turned out to be just me. And that's how fast I had to grow and learn to adapt. One thing that usually holds back young people is the common belief that we aren't old enough to take charge of our lives. Society usually doesn't believe teens when it comes down to responsibility, whether it's for a job, a relationship, or at home. And what usually happens if you're left unprepared, you live in a safe circle. The later you go out of that safe circle, the harder it gets for you to adapt to the real world. That is only because responsibility isn't described by age, but by choices, maturity, integrity, and how determined are you in order to learn from your mistakes. Everybody in this room, we all have the ability to take responsibility right here, right now, no matter of our age. It's not about waiting for someone to give you a guidebook on how to live your life. It's about where do you envision yourself and what choices and decisions are you ready to take in order to grow. Start small. Understand what's important for you and prioritize it. If you mess something up, shrug it off, own it, learn from it, and grow. Start again. But never give up on yourself and always take action. Be accountable. No matter if it's about yourself or others, set commitments and follow them through. Little by little, I began to understand that independence isn't about doing whatever you want. It's about holding yourself accountable when no one else is around to remind you. And to all of you listening to this speech, just know that everything will be all right because you've got yourself for it. You carry a strength within yourself that you've barely begun to understand. And every tool that you'll ever need in order to become better is already a part of who you are. The sooner you realize that your actions, or your lack of them, are entirely in your hands and that you will be the one accepting the consequences, you are off to a great journey of growth. Now, are you ready to take responsibility for your future now, or will you wait for the world to tell you when you're old enough? Thank you.